please.
Debbie Brady.
Here.
John Chartier.
Here.
Bob Eismore.
Here.
Lisa Cavallina.
Here.
Kevin McCullough.
Here.
Diane Salter.
Here.
Sam here. And Jan.
Yep.
Christie.
Hello.
Ready.
Okay, for this evening's Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to turn it over to the gentleman of Boy Scout Troop 139. Gentlemen?
Will the audience please rise? Color guard, attention. I said attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, post the colors. Scouts, salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard, about face. Color guard, retreat. You may be seated.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, tonight we have a school showcase, which is the Fletcher Intermediate School. Come on up.
Okay, so as you know, we had a big Chromebook purchase in the summertime. They were ready to go on day one of school. Teachers did a lot of work actually in the summertime to get ready so that we were able to use them. Some used them even on day one, which was fantastic. So tonight we're going to show you how we collaborate using Google Classroom and how we assign things, and then how we collaborate using Google Slides. So we have Bob Larson here, our instructional technology coach, and Katie Sampson, who's a 5th grade teacher, volunteered to present this evening, so I really appreciate that. And we have 2 students. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell the school board, if you'd like to hear what your favorite subject in school is.
I'm Sydney Pethick, and my favorite subject is literature.
Nice one.
I'm Capriana Soper, and my favorite subject is reading.
All right, Bob.
All right, so tonight we're going to show you Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is a tool that's quickly becoming the way to manage classroom workflow. So when using digital devices and collaborating and doing things, Google Classroom enables a teacher to do that really efficiently and then add some really neat parts to it too. So the magic of Google Classroom really comes from that you get to create a collaborative space for kids to work with their teacher. So a teacher can assign links, resources, documents really quickly and get them out to students on their devices. But it also allows for students to work collaboratively on projects with each other. So a teacher can decide to assign one resource that students can look at. A teacher could assign 25 individual copies of an assignment just within seconds. Or they could assign big group projects, and I'm not going to take too much time to talk about it because I think it's better to experience it, what you're going to do tonight. So I'll let Katie take it from there.
Okay, so today we're going to help you set up a Google Classroom account. I've already created it, so we're going to have you join a Google Classroom account and work on a Google slide presentation about what you are proud about in your pride that comes from BFIS. So the students are here to help us as well, and I have created little tags for you all that have your classroom code and everything. So if you guys could do me a favor, go around and pass these out to people. Their names are on them, and they have name tags in front. Okay, so if I can have...
Yep. Your name's on there?
Yeah, their name's on there.
You're looking for Katie.
This is Mr. Eisner right over there.
here. Oh, back to your tears right here.
Mine says Diane Salter.
Okay. Inside.
Miss Nate, Miss Stan.
Thank you.
If you don't remember yours, we've got some kind of.
So if you are all in your Gmail email account,
Yeah,
that would help.
and where do you go?
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna see a waffle up there that looks like these 3x3 grid. And if you click on that, your Google Apps will come up. Google Classroom probably will not be the first one listed, so you're gonna have to click the More button, in which you will have a bunch of different apps to choose from.
Classroom?
Yep, so you wanna click on your, what we call the waffle at school.
Kids know how to help too, so just, if you need help, that's one of our lovely assistants.
No class, yep.
Nope, you're gonna be joining in just a minute. You can come in, Connor. Oh, he's already there?
Yeah.
I'm in the class.
Okay, so when you click on Google Classroom, yours will be empty. Mine currently has quite a few in there.
I guess I'm gonna share yours. Okay.
So in order to add a classroom, you want to click on the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And then it'll say join class. That is when you will type in that classroom code.
And so who is a student or a teacher or?
I'm student. And that's that code that's XWC3X4.
Hey, Bob. Demo?
And then that should give you join class, and then on the bottom of your green ticket is the classroom code.
We reset a lot of things.
Open. Our students are about 10 times faster than you.
I expected 20.
They join new classrooms all the time and they're quick.
Okay, so if you've gotten to this page, you see your first assignment. And it has a due date already listed on there as tomorrow. As a teacher, we can edit and assign the due dates. So that way when students turn it in, it'll automatically notify us whether the assignment was turned in on time or late. Using Google Classroom, we can also assign grades back online. So we can let them know what they received on that assignment. So your assignment is going to be, you click on it and open up your assignment. You have on your green sheet what slide your name is. Go to that slide and you will be typing what gives you pride or what you're proud of when it comes to BFIS. So you each have your own slide that you are going to be going in and writing on. You guys want to go in my pink bag and get out your Google Chromebooks? And then you guys can take them out into the atrium. My 5th grade students are actually going to be leaving right now, and they're going to be exiting into the other room, and they'll be able to comment and help you and do work at the same time that you're editing. Nope, just go to the slide on the side. So your slide, you'll be on slide 10.
There.
Diane, why'd you sign in?
You're right on there.
So you'll notice that there aren't any students in here now. I'm gonna grab my Chromebook too. What they've done is they've kind of simulated collaborating from across the hall or across town or even across the world. So as you type, our kids out there, and I'm gonna do the same thing, and Katie can also, we're gonna comment on what you say. So you'll be able to see what they comment on as you type.
Are we getting corrected by?
Or you can get corrected by
We have to capitalize on
5th grade kids, yeah.
I'm getting special.
So then, like, as a teacher or another student, we can go in and comment. And I could write a comment in there about what Mrs. Brady had said. About I completely agree. I enjoy the atmosphere in which I work. I enjoy the teamwork that goes on between us teachers. Some of you may see the students are going to be getting logged in and they'll actually start commenting on what you've typed.
Classes here. Perfect. So let's add one.
And you can see at the top all the people who are logged in, who are signed in on to this.
Classroom code up there.
Yeah, I already have some getting in there.
So while they're typing on a daily basis, how do you use this as a teacher?
So I use this in almost, I would say, every subject. Right now we're sharing between, like, personally we have it to about a class and a half. I use it in reading is I'll post a reading prompt that while they're reading they have to respond to, or they have to answer some questions. In writing, we took 2 units in the writing, 2 forms of informational writing. One was narrative or essay format, and one was informational, and we had them write their essay in a Google Doc, and then they could edit and collaborate, and then take that and copy and paste their writing into Google Slides, where they could insert diagrams that they created and flow charts, all in Google Drawing. So they did all of their own diagrams, all their own flow charts, their own pictures, and then they could change their writing. So we actually went through 2 units, and it took us only about 8 weeks of work instead of what would be about 12. Math, I have a Google Math class. I don't know if you saw it, it was on mine. Bridges actually has resources of games that you can play online with a partner. And Bridges also has a lot of paper-like games, but instead of making all those copies all the time, I found that some of the games on the computer, they were able to get that instant feedback of what they were doing was correct or incorrect with their partner. So a lot of times they'll play it on the Google Chromebooks with those select games I've uploaded and given them the links to while I pull small groups. So it's given them that ability to do things interactively with their partnership. Social studies and science, we use Edpuzzle. We put on there a lot of like exit slips where normally we would, type it out and print it out and make copies that way. We can just put it in there. They can edit it. I can assign it for each student. They can turn it in, so it saves it that way. It makes it quick. I do rubrics in math, and instead of doing paper 1 a week, they do it all on the Google Chromebook. They can actually access it from home. So say they left school early, they forgot to turn in their rubric, they can go home, access it, the Google Doc from their home computer, turn in their rubric, and send it to me right from wherever they're at. So I would say we use it in pretty much most subjects. I do it for like typing practice, for MSTEP. I do it with math, like extra math, fact practice, their warm-ups. I don't know, I think they're commenting somewhere.
And
Yep, right there.
Some really nice practical things too for students. There's no save button, so everything saves all the time. And then there's a log history of going back through it. So as our students work together, it's a really important skill to learn, not just how to use the technology, but how to use it with others. So as they're working together, they have to learn the kind of balance of, if I make a mistake on my friend's slide, or do I do something here, and you can go back in time to kind of fix those things, which is really, really neat.
So Connor's commenting.
Yeah. So if you look at the side of the screen, and you can see it on your own slides, but people in the audience, and if anyone's not doing this with us, you can see that our students who are in a different area, and they could be across town, they could be back at the intermediate school, doesn't matter. They don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi or anything. They can comment on what you're writing. A lot of times teachers use this within their own classrooms. They give certain, Ms. Sampson might give 2 students editing privileges on one particular paper so they can comment back and forth and give each other ideas about how to make their papers better, that kind of thing. It's much more than word processing and making slides. It's really cool 21st century collaboration. And it's in real time. It's kind of neat to watch the other person type as you're doing it.
And the kids do it with their writing. You see the blue share button, so they can email it to whoever's in their group or who their writing partner is, ask for feedback that way.
See, Mrs. Salter got the comment to extend
Yes,
her,
I was told
to
they're
extend
giving
what
me orders.
she had to do yesterday.
Trying to redo it.
No, I'm adding, they had to just name one accomplishment.
Teachers getting way more output from their students because they're way more engaged in actually typing it. She was just talking about how she did a nonfiction writing piece, and she had them type it regular, and then they put it into a Google slide. And for all levels of writers, that's fantastic. Students who had difficulty writing, they started with the slides because it just put the differentiation between intro, body, conclusion, really simple and easy. Plus they like to type it, and they like it when their friends can see it. They love to add pictures, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much it. that's the idea. We just wanted to kind of give an introduction to what it's like to be in a Google Classroom, what it's like to be a student and get an assignment, and then what it's like to see fellow students commenting on your work in real time. So, Brittany.
How many devices do you have at BFIS?
400.
400, and how those, like how many classrooms are affected by 400?
Oh, every kid uses them.
Every kid, every kid in your school?
Yep. Our teachers have split them up different ways. Yeah, they're definitely used at an average of daily.
Yeah.
And sometimes it depends, you know, could be a bunch in a day, could be a little bit in a day.
Just a question about, first of all, I think it's fantastic. Second of all, is there any time spent, or maybe it just comes naturally and I'm so old that I don't recognize that it comes naturally with the kids these days, but is there time spent on actual keyboarding exercises?
Almost made a comment about that when I saw them out there, because they've gotten really fast
Yeah.
at typing, and they kind of do it their own way.
Sure.
You want to talk about what you...
So when the kids come in the morning in my classroom, their warm-up is standard. They have to do extra math, which is a killing drill, multiplication, factors, and they have to do, I have two different typing games, if you will, and it really focuses them on home keyboard and home row, because MSTEP MSTEP definitely has those typing parts, and if the kids aren't fluent in typing, it can really slow them down. So it's something that's incorporated every day in our morning practice. It takes about 10 minutes. By the time he's usually done with announcements, my kids have wrapped up both of their practices for the day.
Yeah, that's something that I think is, as one of the board members with younger kids, that the keyboarding, while it sounds kind of trivial when you're talking about other, important ways of spending time during the instructional day, I do think when it comes to now that we've moved to the MSTEP, that's kind of where I'm going. It's not just the efficiencies it would provide with something that's so fantastic, such as this, and supplement it, enhance it, but I think that it's an important aspect even for 5 minutes a day. So I'm glad to hear that it's kind of built into your morning routine.
I have a student who actually receives OT for typing, and she's actually been able to kind of step away because we put that in place in my classroom. So then when she does pull him, instead of having to focus on typing, she gets to focus with him on other needs that he has.
Sure.
So that's helpful as well.
Sure.
You guys can come back in. Any other questions about Chromebooks or Google or devices? I'll leave you with this. It's Chrome and Chromebooks are fantastic for us because any kid with internet at home can access this on any device. So you don't need a Chromebook, you don't need a PC or a MacBook. You can have anything, Android, iPad, iPhone. It works on everything, which is another really fantastic component to it. We had a big parent tech information night, hugely attended. I thought for sure we'd be sending home a couple hundred of the Chromebooks based on that. We were sending home 30?
Maybe 30, yep.
Something
It's
like
available for any student at Brandon Fletcher that wants to take them home, can take one home with parent permission.
And I can recommend that because, I have a 10-year-old son who perhaps I'd suggest isn't ready for a laptop. Laptop, of course, at least in our family's opinion. But he feels such pride in bringing that home and uses it. And what are you doing about it? I'm playing a game, whatever the math game is, and he really finds that to be a source of independence, and he takes care of it. And I highly recommend that. And the tech night was fantastic, very, very well done. I recall 2 years ago, Mr. Phillips, maybe we came to a tech night. And we were there, and there were 4 of us.
Yeah,
we sat down around the
we come a
table.
long way.
And I was kind of expecting the same, and I walked in, and I was blown away. It was really the attendance and the content, the presenters, the way you structured it. It was very well done.
There'll be
And I
another one
heard
coming
compliments
soon.
in the community. It was really well done. Good job.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Good job. You guys want, you can put them back in the same bag.
Just as a heads up, as we look at our vision for instructional technology, we are at our K-3 buildings, we are one-to-one, with one device for every child. We have
Your slide.
iPad for every child at the K-3 level. We've
want to
done
open?
Chromebooks at the intermediate level. We've begun to make purchases at the middle school. We're going to have 3 classes that are going to be our pilot classrooms in the second half of this year. And this is all using grant money. And going into the fall, we're going to have 11 classrooms at the middle school that will be outfitted with our Google Classrooms as well. So we're going to continue to invest, continue to extend, and we have a lot of devices that we're going to have available for extended student learning. So I'm excited about where we're headed.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Very good. And Mr. Phillips, I should say, is the guy who got the whole ball rolling with the Harvey Sponsored brand.
Mr. Phillips, thank you very much. Okay, we don't have our high school reporters here this evening, so Dr. Outlaw, it goes to you. You want to start?
So as we end the month of January, or month of December, and head into January, there's going to be a number of changes. We've had a great start to the year, and there's a lot of exciting things as we move into 2017. We're going to be introducing a new board member, Mary Ann Dwyer. Mary Ann, can you stand up and wave for the TV here and everything? Mary Ann will be introduced next month. But there's also change going the other way as well, and we've had a board member that has been with us for a long time and has been one of the most important people that I've worked with for the past 3 years here. Chris Yukis came to the board in 2000, and he has been with the board. He took a little break there for a few years. But Chris has been just a steady hand for the board. He's been somebody that's really helped guide me as a new superintendent, and I'm just so thankful to have had the chance to work with him. He's going to take a break, then I'll come back to the board probably shortly. We'll have to turn him back, but just want to thank Chris so much for everything that you've done.
Well, Dr. Outlaw pretty much said everything I was going to say, but no, it's been a privilege serving on the board with Chris. Came back on, I guess Chris came back on at the time I got on, and it's been 5 or 6 years now, I guess, and Chris has had a world of experience that's really helped me out. It's been great working with him. He definitely has experience, plus a lot of knowledge of how things work around the community. So, Chris, if you come up here for a moment. On behalf of the Board of Education.
Oh, it's even got, so I could read it.
Yes. So, Chris is getting a little older here, so I made sure to get a plaque with large writing.
Yeah.
So,
Chris friendly.
Yeah, it's very Chris friendly. So, as his, ongoing years, he can still appreciate this that we've gotten for him. So, Chris, thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck.
That's enough?
That's long enough.
No, Chris is a great guy to work with. He's been great, and he will be sorely missed on the board. We're getting a new replacement. We're looking forward to that. But there's a lot of experience that's moving on.
And at the end of our meeting, Mrs. Schubring has an unbelievable cake that she has, and I think with the number of people that we have here, I think we can all have a piece about that big. So, but Marie's going to bring it out here. She's got a cake, and we invite everybody to stay afterwards and join us in a piece of cake and celebrate with Mr. Yukis.
Very nice. Thank you.
All right.
The party's just starting.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Okay. This will be out there at the end.
And that's all for me?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Should have.
Yeah.
You get to read all the action items.
All right. So with all the festivities here, let's get on with our regular business of the evening. First thing up is any public comments or questions on our agenda business this evening?
Not here.
Okay, hearing and seeing none, we're going on to the approval of our consent agenda. Do we have a motion regarding our consent agenda?
I move the Brandon Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Now we're going down to information discussion items. The first item is Jan, the finance report.
Yep. I'll be presenting the first budget amendment tonight. Good evening. Every year in December, normally, is this on there? It doesn't feel like it.
It is, but it's so
You want
quiet.
me to just talk then?
Yeah, just
Can you
talk.
hear me? Okay. So this is the time of year, December, normally where we present the amendment when we were required by law to do the original budget in June. But at that time, there's a lot of things we don't know. We don't know student count necessarily. Sometimes we don't know state aid. So this, I always consider this to be the most accurate budget presentation for the year. What I'm going to do is I've got 3 screens with some numbers, try to summarize it so it's not too long here. But the highlights from this budget right now where we're at, our student enrollment decrease from fall to fall was 133 students. We budgeted for 150, so I guess unfortunately we were closer than we had hoped to be. But we did get an increase this year from the state. Our foundation allowance currently is $7,511, increase of $120 from last year. And once again, we are a minimum foundation district in the state. Our operating tax levy, 17.870 mils. We're allowed to levy 18, but because of the rollback and whatever, we're just under the 18. So all in all, right now, this budget, we are seeing a decrease of revenue from last year of $860,000. On the expenditure side, we reduced staff 5.6 FTE. Again, we did that because of the student loss. We were able to do that. The board did approve a 2% instructional staff increase for our teachers. The MIPSRS rate fell slightly this year, almost a full percentage, which is good news from the state. That hasn't happened in a long time. So currently we pay 24.94% on every dollar salary. That goes into the state retirement system, which is still a big number. Our child care transfer this year, that's an investment that the district has been committed to, the early childhood program. That investment this year is going to increase a little over $100,000. We're working on that for next year, but that's where we're at right now. Our capital outlay budget back in June, maybe we were a little too optimistic. We had budgeted for $150,000. That's now at $300,000. We did not expect the new high school alarm system, which is almost $100,000. We had some work at the middle school, and so hopefully we're going to come in under that. But right now we've already spent about $240,000. We do have $40,000 that we're hoping to get back because of the Oakwood heat exchangers. We talked about that last month. Anyway, our total net expenditures for the year are reductions of $447,000. So, we still have a balanced budget. We're still doing good, but we didn't quite keep up with the revenue reduction this year. So, wanted to point that out. What I'm going to be showing on the next screen is our next screen is here. This budget is projecting a surplus of $193,000. Again, there are variables in here. Our utilities, I did increase utilities from last year because we had a super mild winter, but if we have an extremely cold winter like we're starting right now, that could exceed budget. We're projected to have a nice fund balance at June 30th of 17 of a little over $3.4 million, or 13.3%. The assigned fund balance has remained the same. We were committed to the $1.2 million. That's for capital projects, mainly the wastewater treatment plant that we've been mandated to do. So after we paid for that capital project, our unassigned fund balance right now is $2.2 million, or 8.67% approximately. Any questions on the assumptions or highlights? I wanted to go through revenue. This is a little smaller than I had hoped. So basically, on the far right is the change from last year. So I've got, in blue, we have the audited numbers, and then on the far right, we have the budget this year, and then the increase or decrease. Our property taxes, we're going to go, we expect to get a little bit more this year, about 85,000. The taxable values are up this year. Community service, and these are just some numbers I don't normally point out, but I thought I would do this time. We're expected to receive about $80,000 in revenue from our community service program. That would be building usage and the pool, aquatic fees. Athletics, we are projecting to receive about $117,000. That's comprised almost equally between pay to participate and gate receipts. The state, obviously, that's the brunt of our, mostly where we get our revenue, a little over $20 million. That's a 4.7% decline from last year. Federal grants, we budget for $1.2 million. It shows an increase, but why it's showing an increase is because last year we didn't spend all the money, so the revenue from last year is actually what you spend. So we do have a slight increase with federal grants, but not quite as much as that would show. PA 18 money, the Oakland Schools levies a special ed millage, and we receive between that and the CFE, which is career focused ed, about $1.3 million. Which is a good chunk of money. Miscellaneous, things like E-rate and those types of things, $243,000. And then transfers, the $70,000 of revenue we get from the food service fund, that's the same as last year. And we take the maximum that we're allowed to take on that. So that is the kind of our revenues in a nutshell. Nothing really surprising there. Any question on the revenue side of the budget? Okay. We'll go to the, okay, on expenditures, we did decrease instructional costs because of the layoffs. That was offset a bit by the increase in the salaries. Other than that, we really, the transfers out is a big change this year because of child care transfer investment we've made. Capital outlay, you'll see last year we had 800 and capital outlay, where is it? We had over 800,000 last year we spent on capital outlay. We've cut that in half this year, but a lot of that was grant funded. The devices, the upgrade to the wireless system, that type of thing. So again, operation maintenance is up. Other than that, you know, we're up in some areas and down in some areas. Our one category that we're saving on is our payment to other public schools. We used to pay Holly over $100,000 a year for to send post-high kids to their program, and they would get the foundation allowance, and we would still have to pay them over $100,000. Diane Sedanis had, you know, we brought the program in-house, and we have no students at Holly this year, so that's a nice savings to the budget. We have the students all here. Any questions on the different categories on expenditures? Okay, one last chart here. This is by object code. Salaries, benefits, purchase services, materials and supplies, capital outlay, and other. Those are our main categories. And you'll see that on salaries we have a reduction, even with the increase. Benefits, we have a reduction. As you decrease employees, you decrease health care expense. That goes hand in hand, and then the mixers rate did go down a little bit. Purchase services, materials and supplies. A lot of those categories have to do with grant money and how we're spending our grant money. So that increase is not it's not a general fund increase. It would be a grant funded. As I talked about capital outlay, that's reduced this year, and then other. So that's it for the categories and on the expenditure side. Any questions here? Okay.
Just a comment.
Yes.
So again, I guess mostly for the audience here, what we spend generally on personnel is pretty close to 80% of our overall budget.
Yeah, with benefits, yeah.
With benefits,
yeah.
Right.
That is.
So there's 20% of running our district is, call it non-human costs, and 80% is
yeah.
human costs.
That would, and most of that 20%, between transportation and running our buildings, maintenance operations, which is the custodian and the utilities and all that, that's most of that 20%. So we have very little that we spend for like discretionary type things, supplies. And every building gets their allocation,
But as a percentage of the whole, it's a pretty
not
small
much.
piece.
Correct, that's absolutely correct. So, and I apologize, this is small. It doesn't look that small on my screen. So, anyway, I always do this, and I just, to keep us kind of, Matt and I, or Dr. Artlaw and I, we're always looking for the next year, the next 5 years, or whatever, because, we don't want to ever be surprised. So right now, we have a nice fund balance, things are looking good. Unfortunately, the wastewater treatment plant is hanging over our heads, there's no doubt about it. So we had that, we always have to be aware of that big expenditure coming up. So you'll see we have 2017, the surplus. Next year, what I always do, if we we estimate, Dr. Outlaw estimates student loss from year to year. He's been very good at doing that. So if I plugged in the number of students we expect in the next 3 years, that's way down on the bottom there, the decrease, and then times our current foundation allowance, and then I keep the expenditures the same. That kind of shows us where we need to be, or how much we really need to look at. And that's before, look at for reductions, that's before any investments that the district might want to make. Because there are, things that we may want to invest in, staff, whatever. So at any rate, if we did nothing and carried over next year and had no increase from the state, we're looking at about a $750,000 operating deficit, which means that we would have to take money from our fund balance in order to operate next year. Following year, again, we're looking at $1 million, and then the year after that. So again, that's not going to come to fruition because we're making reductions. But it just always keeps us on alert that we have to continue to make those reductions, and it's because of the student, the drop in enrollment. We're basically have been right-sizing the district for about 5 years now, and we'll continue to do so. We think that the enrollment will stabilize in 2020, Matt, 2021? Enrollment should stabilize, so then we won't be looking at these big annual operating cuts that we've been having to do. So that is everything that I wanted to present. Any questions on this, or? We're good. We project now, unless the weather's bad and some unforeseen things, we should have a positive, operating surplus at the end of the year. Okay. Well, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Just to give a very brief update, listen to me share with you that we're making headway with word study, spelling, grammar, things of this nature. I wanted to just give you the big picture overview on word study, because this has really been a gap across the entire state. When we look at the state's curriculum and everything that we have been doing to make this transition the last few years in English language arts, spelling and grammar are two pieces that fall into this category of word study that have not been overly well attended to. We've had this conversation, as you know, we've been doing things right now to make sure that we have the resources and the knowledge base for our staff to address that, both at the elementary and also at the secondary level. But when we talk about word study, I just wanted to point out that that's not just spelling and grammar. It's this whole idea of phonological awareness, this understanding that words can be broken down into smaller and smaller units. They can be broken apart, they can be put together, they can be manipulated. It's also about vocabulary development, and the work that we're doing this year is really, I'm excited about it. We talked about Michelle Farah coming out from Open School, so with the elementary teachers around word study in particular, and then also having Delia DeCourcy come out from Open School, so the secondary teachers in this exact same area. And just to underscore the importance of this, by third grade, our kids, all students, should be learning about 3,000 new words a year. They're just adding to it. And in kids that are accelerated, it's about 5,000, and in kids who are struggling, it's about 1,000. That's a huge variance. So clearly, it's important that we're addressing how kids learn words for the purpose of writing as well as for reading. And vocabulary is an important aspect of that in terms also, again, of reading and writing. Just wanted to let you know that we're making good headway across the district in attending to those needs for the student and also for the teachers. We're really fortunate to have open schools, I have to say that. The other piece is that the MGSS, the new science standards that we talked about, the new Michigan science standards, we're continuing to have teachers trained in the NGSX training, which has to do with how they deliver instruction in the classroom. This is particularly at the secondary level. We'll have another group of 5 science teachers attending Waterford's training, a training that's being offered in Waterford in February and March. That'll land us at 10 teachers that will be trained. And then we'll have 6 more total. Right now, this year, that training is free. It's just costing us subs. It's being funded with grant money at the county level, and that we recognize that very well will probably change come summer. So we're trying to take advantage of that, the free access while we can. And also, there was a 1-day crash course for administrators that was offered across the county, and I'm really pleased to report that all of our administrators attended that training, including Dr. Outlaw. So thank you very much for making that investment in the new science standards. Anyway, just let you know, we're moving forward in word study and also in science.
Thank you. Questions? All right. Okay, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Christy. Now we move on to our action items. And the very first action item we have is approving the resolution for the 2016-17 first budget amendment that Jan presented to us a few short minutes ago. Do we have a motion?
I move the Brandon Board of Education approve the resolution for the 2016-17 first budget amendment as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the item following Jan's presentation? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of approving the resolution for the 2016-17 first budget amendment as presented, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, the budget amendment passes. Second action item, approval of superintendent's evaluation.
I move the Brandon Board of Education approve Superintendent Outlaw's evaluation as presented.
Support.
So what we do with Dr. Outlaw's evaluation, we use a standardized tool from the Michigan Association of School Boards, and we have quarterly updates where we discuss the evaluation tool, we discuss the goals, and the last section, which is now, Dr. Outlaw does a self-evaluation. He presents evidence that support his, I'll call it, self-ranking, and then we as a board get together and we go through and do our evaluation, all using the same tool for Dr. Outlaw, and then we come together and we present this evaluation for essentially board approval, which will be his official record evaluation for the year. We do this annually, I said that at the beginning. So I wanted to cover the highlights right now, which is really the summary page of the superintendent's evaluation. Just that one, right? Okay, so we have, should be another. Sorry. Yeah, it's buried in there. Okay. So the first category that we look at is governance and board relations. And each of these are weighted categories. The second one is community relations. Third one is staff relations. Fourth is business and finance. Then there's instructional leadership. So our rankings for Dr. Outlaw through all the weighting that went through there, his adjusted score after that across the whole entire board was he ranked 97% out of 100. The last one, which has professional practice, student growth, and progress towards district-wide goals. Those three, he ranked a combination of 98% out of 100. So that means that the board has rated Dr. Outlaw to be highly effective in his job. We've gone on to say to him personally that we think he's doing an excellent job in the district. We're very happy with the job that he's doing. We're very happy how he is taking what our district goals are, and I'll call it the board's wishes and directives, and working very cooperatively with us in the community as well as everyone in the district, all the stakeholders. So again, we're very satisfied with that. That's what we are presenting right now for approval by the board. And if there are no more questions or discussion on that, we can call the vote. Okay, all those in favor of accepting Dr. Outlaw's evaluation as presented, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Dr. Outlaw. Thank you again for an excellent job. Okay, our last action item is approval of 8th grade out-of-state trip to Cedar Point.
The Brandon Board of Education approved the 8th grade out-of-state one-day trip to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, June 12, 2017, as presented.
Okay. I guess my question is, who's organizing? How's this working?
So Mr. Tucker was unable to be here tonight. He sent me a note earlier today. There's some illness in the family, and he needed to go. So Mr. Laux and Mr. Shelton are two people that are organizing this, along with the office staff at Brandon Middle School. This is an annual trip that they do. So they do this every spring. This has to do with it's a reward for students that excel in areas such as attendance and a few other areas. But this is an annual trip that they do, and this is what they're requesting. They're requesting to do it again.
How's it funded?
It is funded. The cost of the students is $70, and if parents go, it's $45.
Is there assistance if a family?
I would assume. I don't know that specific answer.
Okay.
It's not general. It would be in a
Right.
general account.
Yeah.
Right.
Fundraising or something.
Sure.
But
My
she said
greater
if
concern
a
not being out of
student
the
wasn't able to pay for it,
Oh, I
they
didn't
usually
hear
have.
the
Right, I'm sorry, I'm not
Okay.
speaking very loudly.
Yeah.
My question had to do with if a family couldn't, if they had the honor of going but couldn't quite fund it, what we had in resources to help with that.
That's a bill. I'm not sure how my.
That is really typical. The principals always set aside and plan for students that can't make it financially to ensure that they're able to be involved as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do it in different ways. I don't know the specific way they do it at the middle school, but
Sure.
I'm certain that they're doing something to ensure that.
Okay.
And we have chaperones, right, for 8th graders?
Definitely.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the 8th grade out-of-state trip to Cedar Point on June 12th, 2017, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. That concludes our action items. Do we have any citizens input this evening before we close our meeting? And the last one for Christopher Hughes. Hearing and seeing none, once again, Chris, it has been an honor. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
guys.
service.
It's been fun.
And we look forward
Every
to seeing
time.
you here in a few
Every
weeks. All right, our meeting is adjourned. Cake for everyone.